Jack Thormahlen. My highest rank was EM3 SS. I had never heard of the Spinax. I'd heard of the Archerfish and Razorback and a few other nukes, but not the Spinax. I had to look that one up. Walking down the pier, it looked small compared to what I had been on the APA until I got below decks. Well, the first few days was getting stuff in the rack and seeing the rack that, as was described earlier, that when you got in it, you either went in on your back or in on your stomach, because you sure didn't turn over in one of them. And me being 6 foot tall, and at that time I was 172 pounds. And so that was a rude awakening. Then going through the hatches, my memory says, and I don't know if this is true, but this is what I remember, I maintained a scar right here going through the hatches, just because of my height, trying to get down and go through them. And especially once we further down the road, we started doing drills or whatever and trying to get through the hatches with two of us going through at a time. That was a chore. But just learning everything, and I started my quals about 2 weeks after I got on board, got my paperwork, and just started from one into the other. Rigorous, because some things in the electrical area, I was semi-familiar just getting out of A school, so I can learn that fairly easy. But your auxiliary stuff and having to crawl down to the villages and look at them, and then the first class, his name is Willie, he rode me hard to make sure I knew where everything was and how to operate it and all that. And the engineman did the same thing. More times than I like to remember, I was down in the oil. Once we got to Westpac, that's where we got out of. And we visited Busan, Korea, up and down Japan, Kaohsiung, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Adak, Alaska, Manila, and probably, we went to Hong Kong. And sometimes I get it confused between bonefish and Spinax, but I know I've been in Hong Kong 3 times. So Yokosuka was the one that we were at most, though. Well, the only thing, as an electrician, I was down in either the battery wells or in the engine room or somewhere like that, is that we were off of Red China somewhere, and we were submerged dodging sampans that supposedly were Red Chinese. I don't know. But that's the only thing that, Now, I did get to look out the periscope one time when we were on a northern run, but I don't know what I was looking at. A lot of it was playing war games, a couple of events that stick in my mind. And you're going to have to take this with a grain of salt, because if you were a quartermaster, you knew more than, say, the engineman, where we were going, what we were doing. But as my memory says, we were assigned as a wolf pack. There was 4 submarines outside of San Diego, and our objective was to get the heavy cruiser coming out that had a flag on it, the flag officer. Well, of course, when they come out with destroyers ahead of them and all that kind of stuff, and they found 3 of them. They didn't find us, and we surfaced 900 yards on his starboard bow, pointing straight at him. And we didn't see that heavy cruiser again in San Diego for 3 months. That flag was hot. We heard him on the intercom, and I happened to be on the helm at the time, because our captain was up there, obviously. And he expected to be able to, because they knew we were there. They just couldn't find us. And so we were kind of proud of that one. And then the other thing is playing war games with the Canadians. It turns out that they were the hardest Navy we ever had trying to get away from them. They were 12-year professionals, every man on board. And I think, rumor had it that that was their minimum enlistment at that time, was 12 years. So they were good. We knew we were getting decommissioned, but I left before I went to Mare Island. I went on 30 days leave and then went to the Bonefish. But I knew it was being decommissioned, and that, I spent 2 years on it, unlike some others, 5, 6, 7 years, whatever. But still, it was emotional.